What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. The ammunition and equipment you see featured in today's episode of The Quiet Rifle came to me courtesy of Herman's Sporting Guns and Air Rifle Slugs Australia.com. So, if you are in the market for anything from a beautiful Heckler & Koch handgun right the way up to a beautiful, very expensive looking Stutzen, check out Herman's Sporting Guns. They're a big supporter of the show. They're also the Australian distributor for FX airguns, so if you want an FX, jump on their dealer distribution list, find your closest dealer and hit them up and get them to order you one. Air Rifle Slugs Australia has been sending me ammunition for review, and I've really enjoyed using them because they are very, very user-friendly. They have a lot of excellent products and excellent service, and they're Queensland locals, so check them out. And always remember that if you want to support the channel, support the people who support me. Controversial opinion. Wild turkey is better than buffalo trace. What do you reckon? Like and subscribe for wild turkey and leave a poop emoji in the comments for buffalo trace. Aside from all the nonsense, today we are going to talk about whether or not you, me, or anybody else should be upgrading their impact from an older model like the Mark I or the Mark II up to the M3. Reasons why you would, why you wouldn't, why you might want to, why you might not to, all that jazz. I was going to make a ammunition review this week, or last week rather, but the hammer spring grub screw has gone missing from my impact, so we're going to do some firearm philosophy instead. And we're just going to hang around and talk. So, when it comes down to weighing up your options about upgrading from the older model to the newer model with an FX gun, you have to be wise about it, I think, because they release a lot of new products, and I love them all, don't get me wrong, they're all great, and I would have them all if I had the money. But you have to sort of examine what the new features are and whether it's worth the rigmarole of ordering a new gun and selling your old gun and how much you're going to win and lose on each of those different interactions. So with the Australian market, the FX impact is usually in quite low supply. There's a very high demand and a very low supply. So usually when you order an M3, you're going to be waiting at least a couple of months for the next shipment to come in because usually the shipments sell out before they even go through customs. When I bought my Mark II, it was the last one in that shipment, and when I ordered it and paid for it, it was just about to clear customs, and like a week later it cleared customs. So it's not as simple as just examining the second-hand market and then ordering a new gun, because you're going to have to be without your gun for a period of time in this country at least. Obviously your mileage may vary if you're over in the States, maybe there's more over there. But we're a long way away from everyone down here in our lovely little corner of the world, and stuff takes quite a while to get here, and when it does, the population of Australia is 25 million people, and it's roughly the same area as the contiguous lower 48 states, or whatever you want to call it. So it's a big place. The state that I live in is 2.4 times the size of Texas, and there's like 6 million people in it. So we are spread out and everything takes forever to get everywhere, and it's annoying. So it's not really just as simple as the money matter. However, it could still be worth it. What are we looking at with the M3? You get dual regulators, you get the quick tune Badooba, and you get the big 72cc Plenum. All wonderful things. I really like the idea of multiple regulators. I like small steps down. I think the idea of having a single regulator that holds back the giant wave of pressure behind that big ass plenum is probably a good idea. I know a lot of people are saying, oh, why do we need two regulators? Can't you just make one that doesn't creep? That'd be way better. But I think the old paradigm of one regulator is really sort of more focused on smaller plenums. You got to remember that when you we're all crazy about upgrading these bigger plenums, but I think it's a good idea to have a step in there. And I know it adds complexity and price, but I think it's a good move. I think over the long term for that particular gun, it'll probably be a good thing. And you get the quick tune mechanism, which is very cool. That would solve my immediate problem of not having the grub screw. I can't find an M3 grub screw locally, so I'm gonna either have to order one through Herman's Guns or get them off eBay or something. So I probably won't be able to shoot until next weekend anyway, if I'm lucky enough to get the time. So that is going to eliminate that little annoying feature that I'm dealing with right now. And for someone like me who does a lot of switching between different ammunition for different jobs and for different reviews and stuff like that, I'm more interested in that than I am in the dual regulators, to be frank. But I like both of those ideas, and I think for the price step up from the Mark II to the Mark III, in Australia at least, it's not that big, and I think those two alone would be worth that price step up. And then let's talk about that big plenum. That's a nice big plenum. 720 is 72 cc's. That's roughly the same as what my gun has at the moment. I have a little titanium Vladan plenum on mine, so I've got 25 cc's of normal FX Impact Mark II X plenum, and then I also have the external plenum from Vladan, and it's, from memory, I think it's like 48 maybe, so we're right up around that 70 something cc of plenum on mine, and it has been excellent. It's been really good to have all of that extra capacity, because if I want to, I can make it into a very powerful gun, and if I want it to be very economical, I can tune it right down and run low reg pressures and just shoot all day on one cylinder. So it makes the gun very versatile, and to have that same capacity in a nice factory looking package, I think is a great idea. So those are the main new features of the M3 that interest me, at least. I do think it would be a very nice upgrade, especially for someone like me. But if you're a set and forget type person, remember that even the Impact Mark I is still going to do pretty much everything you want it to do, because it's so modular. You could probably pick one of them up secondhand and put the key upgrades that you actually want, the things that you're going to use the most, on there, because there is quite a nice list of upgrades available for the older models now. So let's have a quick look at that. You've got your slug power kit, which is going to really open up the top end power available to you. You've got your 54 and soon to be your 72 cc plenums, so the old power plenum upgrade for the Mark II when they went from the little 25 cc plenum to the power plenum. That is a 54 cc plenum, which is a great size as well, very good. And soon they're going to be offering the 72 cc plenum as an upgrade as well. So you can either, you can go from your 20 or 25 cc Mark I, Mark II plenum up to a power plenum or up to a 720 power plenum. So lots of great options there. We've also got longer barrels. We've seen a lot of YouTubers that have been doing testing for FX, and they've been using 800mm barrels, and I'm really excited about that, because the first interaction I ever had with FX after I released my first video, they asked me, what do you think would be a good thing for us to make? And immediately I said 800mm barrel. Like, I want the longest possible barrel, because in Australia we can't have silencers. We don't have silencers unless you're a professional press controller and that's your main source of income. There's all these loops and hoops that you have to jump through, and it is a right Peter to get to where you want to go with that. However, with an air gun, especially with an air gun, with rimfires as well, but particularly with an air gun, the longer the barrel, the quieter the gun, even without the silencer. The 600mm barrel was a little bit too loud for small acreage or for commercial pest control. in my opinion, this is an opinion, but the 700 made a large difference in the amount you could, with a 600mm barrel, you could shoot a pellet at say 700 to 750 feet per second, and that would be nice and quiet. But with a 700mm barrel, you can crank that right up to like 850 feet per second, right where you want a Diablo pellet to be, and it was still nice and quiet. And I think if we can get some 800mm 22 barrels, we'll probably be able to punch 22 caliber slugs at really good speeds and still have the gun be very quiet. And it would be super duper quiet if you just wanted to shoot pellets or anything else at slower speeds as well. In my opinion, with a bullpup design where you can absorb most of that extra barrel length, it's just, give me a long barrel. I want a long barrel. I want an 800mm barrel with a slug liner in it that shoots those FX slugs and the NSA slugs. Even the H&N and the JSB slugs, they're all so good now. And I just want it to be a little bit quieter. And that 800mm, that extra 10mm of barrel in Australia is just gold, pure gold. I'm sure I've got lots of Aussies in the crowd right now going, amen son, amen, cracking their tinnies, smoking their durries, doing their thing. So yeah, longer barrels. We need longer barrels. I'm aware also that the 357 comes in 800, but you kind of need 800mm for a 357 when you're shooting it from an impact. So yeah. And also we've got things like barrel tuners. They're going to be on the market pretty soon as well. So yeah, lots of good options for upgrades. So taking into account all of that, am I going to buy an M3? Probably not. I'm probably going to sit on it for a bit. Maybe in the future. I'm not saying no, but with all those power upgrade kits that are available, I think I would rather save myself the hassle. And I say save myself the hassle and not save myself the money, because there isn't really that big of a difference if you look at the second-hand market in Australia. So let's go inside, sit by the computer, and I'll run you through some open tabs in my browser, and we'll look at some used guns and we'll examine the price. So right now we're on Herman's Guns website, hermansguns.com.au. Go there, do some window shopping, do me a favour and tell them Uncle Hodge sent you, and have a look around because they've got lots of great stuff. But they're the distributors, so they're the ones who set the pricing for the air guns, and this is going to seem a little bit steep for all of you over there in the land of the free, but you have to remember that we have healthcare. You know, it's if I break my leg, I go to the doctor, it's free, and there's basically a 10% tax on everything for that. And other things, among other things. But when you convert to from an American price to an Australian price, you're going to add 10% and then do the exchange rate, and you're going to get roughly the same price every time. Well, pretty much every time. Some retailers will mark it up, some will mark it down, but as it stands at the time of recording, we're looking at 3,499 Australian dollary dues for an FX Impact Mark III, the sniper version. That's just for the gun. Obviously you don't get this lovely Nexus on top. That would be so good if you did. So that's the new price. Remembering you have to wait for that to come in if you do order it new. And then let's jump over to the second-hand tabs. There's a couple of different used gun websites, but the most popular ones are usedguns.com.au, and also Oz Gun Sales seems to be fairly popular. There's other ones, buy used guns, but for some reason people still use usedguns.com, even though it's very expensive compared to the other options. But let's have a look. If you're selling an expensive gun, maybe using an expensive website's fine. We got a 25 caliber FX Impact X Mark II sitting here at 3,200. We're looking at 3,500 for a brand newie. Second hand 3,200. There's not a huge deal of price difference. This is a nice new looking gun. It looks like it's in good condition. Has the 52cc Plenum and a nice bronze coloured receiver. Very nice looking gun, and probably in as new condition. And you would be, I think you'd be happy as a clam if you bought that one. Let's have a look at some other options. So here we have an Impact Mark II at $3,300 again. This one's got some accessories. It's got the slug liner with it, but it's only a 600mm barrel, so whatever. Next on the list, we have a Dreamline. Let me see if we can finish out all of these FXs first. Over on Oz Gun Sales, we've got 357 Impact, and we're looking at 3420. That's like basically brand new. Is it brand new? I don't know. It must be. It must be brand new. Who's paying that much for a second-hand Impact? I don't know. I get the impression that that's because this is the only one that they have. So maybe it isn't brand new. Maybe we're looking at a second-hand Impact that's $80 off brand new price. So basically you're getting a free firearms permit instead of paying the new price, which is pretty wild. That's an expensive gun. It's great, don't get me wrong, and it looks like it's in as new condition. Got the hard case and everything, no scratch on it, but if that's not new, I'd be kind of annoyed by that. And we've got a Dreamline here, 2498. Let's have a look and see how much the Dreamline is brand new. All right, just a shade under $2,000 for the compact. So that's a spicy price tag, 2498. But it does come with a what do we got? 18 round magazine, fully adjustable stock, and a Leupold Freedom 3-9x40. All right, 3-stage air pump. Different slugs for assessment. All right, cool. So that's more than the new price, but it does also come with a scope and a few other accessories, so happy with that. So as you can see, the point I'm trying to make here is due to the supply issues that we have with FX guns in Australia, the price of your second-hand guns, these good condition near new second-hand guns, they're right up there with the brand newies. So you're not losing a lot of money if you want to get rid of an airgun here. And I don't often see them on these websites. I do pop around and sniff around the second-hand market fairly regularly just to see what's out there. There's usually 1 or 2 FX airguns for sale, but never more than that. It's never the same as all of the other brands. There's always, lots and lots of different Krahls and Theobins and BSAs and all these other different brands of PCPs that people like to use for a bit and then move on. But I find it's usually, I don't know, the FX is sort of a little bit rarer to pop up. So if you are in the second-hand market and you do see one for a good price, it's a good idea to move fairly quickly on something like that. Make sure it is what you want, but move quickly once you've made that decision. And this, I just wanted to show you how pricey some of these other guns are. This is a Daystate Red Wolf Midnight. It's brand new. It's not second-hand, but it's so spicy. Like, I know a lot of people are annoyed about how expensive FX and other PCP airguns are, but just know that it could be worse, right? This is $4,499 for a Red Wolf Midnight, and I look at that and I don't really see anything that I really would justify that price tag. Maybe it's got the electronic regulator and all that sort of stuff. Maybe, I don't know. Does it? Yeah, digitally regulated, which is cool. But do I want to pay another $1,000 on top of an FX for a digital regulator? Not really, no. And I understand that they're more expensive and they're cheaper in other countries and the price fluctuates and all that. But that is a spicy clam, and I'm not into it. So we're going to close that one. And here's another one. This is a different model for $43.99, which is also very spicy. So, I don't know. I think I'll stick with FX. So that's the second-hand market rundown. How much would my gun be worth? I don't know. What do you reckon? Leave a comment. I've got a whole bunch of different barrels. I've got a 30 cal barrel. I've got a 25 cal barrel. I've got my 22 cal barrel, and I've got a couple of different liners. I have an external Plenum. Does that make it worth more if it's modified or worth less? I would think it's probably worth less if the gun's been fiddled with by someone like me. So I don't know. I think I would get most of my money back. I think I would probably be looking at 75% of new price for something like my gun, plus all of the other accessories adding value on top of that. So maybe I could sell off all of the barrels that I don't use now, because I rarely use 30 cal, I rarely use 25. The only reason I really have them now is for testing. I'm a big fan of 22. It seems to do the job for everything that I need it to do. But yeah, what do you reckon? What would you do? What would you pay for my setup? But with all of that said, I don't think I'm going to sell my gun. I think I'm going to sit on it and upgrade it. I'm going to put a whole bunch of brand new Craft and lift gear on it and pimp it out. I'm going to put the 72cc Plenum on there. I'm going to take my Vladan Plenum off and put it in storage for now, because I like the sleek factory look of the inline Plenum. I don't really like the look of the external Plenum. I like a sleeker look. So I'm going to do a few things like that. I might even paint the gun. Might do a nice paint job. I won't do camo, I don't think. I'll probably do a solid colour, maybe a nice tan or a green. Black and tan has always been one of my favourite colour combinations. Spruce it up a little bit because I don't like all of the sign writing that FX puts all over everything. I don't think anyone needs to know that I've got a 720 power plenum, because it's just like 720 power plenum written on it. It's not subtle, and I would rather have it look a little bit more subtle personally. But yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I am going to sell some of my scopes. Since I've been working with Element, I just haven't used any of my other scopes. They're all still great scopes, but I've got my Schmidt & Bender PM2 that's just sitting there. The box is just covered in dust. I've got a Leupold TMR, which I haven't used for a while now. It's just sitting there. So I think I'm going to liquidate some of the scopes that I have. I'll definitely hang on to the guns, but I think I'm going to let go of those scopes. And I just, like, it does pain me a little bit, because I know it's going to be one of those things where it's like, remember when you had that Schmidt & Bender PM2 and you sold it? And I'm going to be like, I should never have sold that. But yeah, the Element scopes are so good. And yes, I'm a pro staff member. Yes, they send me scopes. Yes, I make videos on them. But I do it because I love the company and I love the scopes. It's not because I need them. They're just great scopes. So instead of upgrading my gun, I'm going to sell off all the scopes I don't use and pimp the gun out. So that's going to be my decision. That's where I'm going to go. And if they do make a finger adjustable hammer spring fine tuner that I can fit into my gun, I'll definitely buy that as well. I think that's cool. A nice new paint job, maybe a service kit thrown through it, 720cc Plenum and a little finger adjustable Badoob. And that'll save me having to be without my gun for several weeks or even months until the next shipment arrives. There you have it. That's what I think. Let me know in the comments, what do you reckon? Do you think it's worth upgrading to the M3 from whatever you've got? Yeah, very good. Thank you for watching. Please remember to support all the people who support me. Even if you're just window shopping, skip over to those websites. There'll be links in the description for you to have a look around. Get yourself something snazzy for Christmas. Christmas is coming. Bye now. Okay, bye now.